forgot to record, to start to record. So we will have from now on. This is when you are a one-man show, it happens like this. So you are most enthusiastic and you forget these kind of details. So when you see it afterwards, you may get some more information about it. So it is very interesting that you use synchronous and asynchronous in order to do reinforcements and to help people to acknowledge better the concepts that we are passing. Any idea from your side, Sardik?
I'll keep it simple. I'm a little bit of an aggressive type facilitator because I come from the performance consulting world. And what I would say to everyone, and this is the challenge that I put out to all trainers, especially virtual training, is think about the end outcome. So what's the behavior that you're trying to get people to routinely do? What is the habit? So I'm going to use that terminology. What is the actual habit that you want them to be able to do? Competencies, I get, but you know what? Those are a collection of habits and routines, and sometimes those are hard to translate in a virtual situation. So really break it down to what's the actual habit that you want people to be able to perform. Give them a chance to practice that as much as possible through the design of the synchronous and asynchronous, and recognize the fact that you're not going to be able to accomplish a lot of things just virtually, solely virtually. And that's going to be one of the challenges that a lot of companies are going to come to realize, is they're going to see that with all the challenges of the changes in the way we work now, moving a lot online and virtual, all kind of new habits are developed. And so that's my shortest answer, is think about the outcome, the behavior, and try to drill into, during your virtual programs, an opportunity for people to build that behavior. It's a little bit difficult, but you can do it.
Thank you so much.
Grace is also having a question. I put sound. Grace.
Hello, everybody. I don't know if this was operator error or if this is the way it works, but I've been using Zoom for lots of different formats for a long time. But I co-hosted a session last week, and the whole idea was to have breakout rooms. So we set up the breakout rooms a couple minutes into the session and said about how many we wanted in each breakout room. So it gives you options, right? Well, what happened was 10 to 15 people signed in late. So it didn't pick up the ones that signed in late. So when we went into the breakout rooms, there I was sitting with 15 people in front of me that didn't get assigned to a breakout room. And we figured it was because they came in after we had set the parameters for what we wanted. Is that really how it works, or did I just not understand the whole structure of setting that up? Does anybody have an answer to that?
Well, I never had that problem because I do two things. One is that I always use a waiting room. So, and the other is that I never start with a breakout room activity. So that's why it never happened. So I don't have an answer for you if it's because of the program or not, because I never had this experience, because I use this kind of two things in order not, because there is always a possibility that people arrive late or that there are more or less people that we expect. So I prefer to do it, to be prudent with that and do it a while after. But if anybody had this situation and wants to contribute, for sure it's not me and Sardik that are the owners of the truth. Anybody?
I'll throw my hand up while we're waiting for others. And Grace, I don't know if you had a producer with you.
We did, and that was the other thing we found out. So we had rehearsed this the day before. So we're two co-hosts and a producer, and we rehearsed it the day before. But what happened is I logged in ahead of everybody, and so I was listed as the host. And when the producer came in, we didn't get that switched over to her. So at the last minute, then I became the person producing as well as presenting. And so having your producer log in first is important in that set of logistics as well.
That was going to be my point. Yes.
Yeah, we had a lot of learning lessons with that. And then of course it was, we broke into those small groups, and nobody realized that I had 15 people that I was hosting while they were in their small groups. So I was getting text messages coming through my cell phone. We're ready to come back. Why aren't you bringing us back? And I'm thinking, we're still on the 5th person in our group, and we have 10 more to go. So
yes.
it was a very much a.
Yeah, this is going to be the type of learning lesson that you're going to have, and you're going to learn from that experience, and everyone else who has not done this.
It's unforgettable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so the real short answer to this is, if you're going to do virtual programs, especially for corporate clients, you got to have a producer who's skilled at handling that tool and can manage all of that for you. I don't do that. I have always had a producer on those type of programs, so let them deal with that, and they can handle that. And then the other thing that I would recommend very quickly, and then if anyone else has any other tips on this, is make sure that you set the parameters and the expectations. Granted, people will show up late. I mean, I've had people show up late, but tell them the consequence of showing up late. We're going to start on time. If you show up late, you're not going to get the full experience. And then there's going to be some feedback. We're going to get feedback about how that happens to the attendees and things like that. So if you're working in a B2B situation, business to business, you can somewhat set those expectations. If you're doing things that are kind of entrepreneurial and you're going B2C, business to customer, it's a little bit of a crapshoot. But those expectations, setting that up front, and will help. And having a producer manage all that for you.
If there is,
I saw Nancy's hand went up too.
Nancy? But I didn't see the virtual hand. Okay.
Sorry. I didn't. I raised my real hand.
Okay. It's because I'm doing the producer thing here. So okay. I'm looking to the participants. So that's why.
So my question, Grace, was though, did you, when you assign the groups, everybody was not there? Is that, so everybody wasn't there, you assigned the groups. Can you reassign them once you saw how many people? Is that perhaps an option that you might have taken?
Great point, Nancy. So this was the challenge. I realized, why are these 15 people sitting in front of me? Why have they not been assigned? And then I was going to go back in and reassign, but I figured it would shuffle the ones that might be mid-sentence that are already in the breakout, because we had assigned questions, get to know each other questions in that. So I was weighing back and forth the potential confusion of yanking someone in and out, because I didn't know how it would work on the fly.
Good question. I don't either in Zoom. I'm fascinated. I have no idea. I know how it works in WebEx, but I don't know how it would work in Zoom.
So we did a second breakout, like after I provided more content, we did a second breakout, and that pulled everybody into the groups, and we didn't have those sitting there. I will say, and we don't know the real reason, we're just speculating, we lost people after the first breakout. We had people that just completely signed off, and we had said deliberately in the program announcement and promotion and marketing, and in the reminder, that this was going to be experiential, this was going to be small group discussion. So, if some people don't like that style, then that maybe it wasn't a format for them. But we were very transparent about that before the session started. But we did lose some people that maybe didn't want that experience.
Interesting.
Any other questions or comments? Grace was talking about, while nobody puts the hand, please put in digital format so I can see you better and give you the microphone immediately, because it will be easier like that. Grace was talking about something that us as trainers, we need to also many times do it by ourselves, is to promote. And there are nowadays tools that are very interesting to do short videos, and with a script and everything, in terms of promotion, or even explanation of some concepts or some main ideas or trends or something like that. And I would like to talk about one that is a favorite of mine. I will put it on the chat after I explain, and even with a link, so you can get a free trial for some days. That is a tool called Content Samurai. There are several kinds of tools like this. This has something that is very interesting, that has artificial intelligence associated to creating videos. So let me explain how this works. Imagine that I create a video about communication inside companies, okay? And I talk about several ways of communicating inside companies that you can use, let's say Zoom, you can use the phone, you can use face-to-face communication. And what this program does is that it will select images in video format, so they will be very attractive in terms of the message that you are trying to pass. And the technology behind that is fantastic. It's really, I see that Walid already put the link. Also, I can put the link directly for the free trial, so you can see it through there. So any other questions that you have, you can raise your virtual hand.
Margie, did you have your hand up earlier? Yeah, I think Margie had her hand up a little bit ago.
Hi, how you doing? Thanks.
Hi.
I have a question about headsets. I noticed that Filipe is not wearing one, but Sardek is, but I hear you both fine. Would you recommend a headset or a microphone for presentations?
You want to go first, my friend?
No, but you go first. You have the whole equipment. I want to know your answer.
Okay. I just did a session on my Facebook page, and I'm actually put this out there so everyone else can get it as well. A 10-minute video on virtual presentation setup made simple. And in that, I talk about and demonstrate all the things that you should have, which if you're going to be doing this very frequently, you should have an external mic. And both of us have the same microphone. His is a different color, but I'll just hold it up. It's the Blue Yeti.
And I have the Gray Yeti.
The Gray Yeti and the Blue Yeti. The Blue Yeti, they're relatively inexpensive. They are used by podcasters. You can choose to have a headset or not. I choose to. These are noise canceling Bose headphones, so I can tune everything else out. You should have lights, and some of you have ring lights. I see some of you are very well lit. And you can see I'm very well lit here because I have studio type professional photography lights that are off to my left and right. So I'm very well lit. So those are the minimum things you should have if you're going to be professional. If you're going to be charging people for services like this, or if you're going to be doing it in a corporate setting, get that type of equipment. It's not very expensive. You can have ring lights that cost $30. You know, and hopefully that answers your question, but feel free to let me know if we have any other questions around that.
By the way, one of the questions might be, because I'm saying, can you raise your hand virtually? It's very easy. If you go to the participants or the chat, you can, there is over there a blue hand, I think. Because I'm a host, I don't see the hand myself.
Oh, okay.
So this is one of the things that also works very well in terms of creating a dialogue that, because again, if we hear the voice of the people, it's easier than to explain, to read what is there in the chat. I really don't like this kind of thing that sometimes using a producer, there is somebody that, and we have a question from John Smith. What is this about? And the way that a person will read the question sometimes takes completely the sense of the question because it's not the person. So where is the hand? The hand is on, if you go to the chat or the participants, you will find it there. Oh, there are some, Fares, by the way, Fares is very connected with radio. So he is a radio host. So he's talking about a microphone and 800 microphone and a Marshall website. By the way, answering the question before is Janet has raised her hand. I don't use the headphone. And so it's funny because in radio, they always tell, I want to use the headset, and I will say no, unless there is questions that I only hear through the headset. I prefer to have my head free. So it seems that if I have a cord or something like that, I will feel like I'm constrained. So I'm using, by the way, a camera that is a Logitech C920. That is an HD camera that works very well. I'm not using the camera of my laptop. And also a small trick, put always something below the laptop. So there is, because don't talk like you are like talking down, because that looks, it's not a question of looks bad, is that if you are talking with somebody and you are trying to be close to that person, you talk to their eyes, you don't talk over their heads. So it is a technique. Janet, can we hear you? I will give you the mic. Yes, Janet.
Hi, I have a question about doing practice. You know, so much of what we do also involves 3 or 2-person practices. Can you walk through how that might work, how you would set it up, how you make the pairings? You know, there's just a lot of logistics involved in doing a practice of some skills that you just discussed.
Sadik, do you want to go for that one?
Yeah, so I want to make sure I got the question correctly. So Janet, I apologize. Can you give it to me one more time? So I want to make sure I heard it, because my microphone or my headset went in and out for a second.
You see, I don't wear it. Sorry.
If part of the online learning, the virtual learning, is to do a practice, you know, you've just covered skills in feedback, for example. Now let's practice. Mm-hmm. And you need to set people in 2 or 3-person groups. Can you walk through, like, how would you do that?
You know, so here, I will be very transparent on this. I have not done it so much other than practicing when I've done it with a producer, and the producer will show me and take me into the breakout rooms and show me what that looks like. But as far, you know, so I do it that way, and I'm always working with a producer in that respect. So I'm going to default that or defer that to other folks who may have a better experience or a different answer than me, because the practice I have is with the producer, and I always hire very skilled producers to do this, and they take me through it. And I've been doing it for years, so I just sit back and relax and let them do their thing. So anyone else have any better ideas on how you practice if you don't have a professional or a paid producer with you?
Well, I normally do my own grouping, and there is 2 possibilities: or I do it randomly, or that is the best way, but because you never know exactly who will appear, and divide it evenly. And also it's a way of exchanging people from group to group. So if you do several activities, they will work with different people. So I use actually breakout rooms, breakout rooms with a Zoom, and also with Blackboard. That has also that functionality. And over there, it's a little bit more sophisticated, but I do the same way. So anybody that has more experience on this that wants to share? If not, we have some questions already.
And I'm putting in the chat here real quickly. The company that I hire and work with on a regular basis with producers is called Insync Training. So you may want to check out their website. They may have some tips on that as well, or you can reach out to them. They may have some, I know they have a lot of tutorial videos out there. So that might be something that they have out there. I don't know. Because again, like I said, that's something I outsource. I don't like to be an expert on stuff that I don't like to do. And I don't like the producing part of things.
By the way, there is a question on the chat. This video, since I started recording, my fault, because I'm the producer and the speaker at the same time, I forgot that. It happens. But I'm much more enthusiastic on the conversation that we are having. It will be available afterwards on my YouTube channel. So it's very easy to find because it's my name. I will put my website. So from there you can find my YouTube channel. It's like a button over there. So Keith has a question.
Yeah, is there a length for training, for virtual training, that you would recommend?
What? A life?
The length, like how long a virtual training should go to? Because I think about all-day trainings that we're currently or we're doing before social distancing, and I'm thinking about a 6-hour training through video being.
You see the heads nodding. You see all our heads going like this. Look at Nancy's head. No. So go for it, Filipe. What do you think is the optimal?
Well, I will give you a problem and a solution that we got. One of the things I said a moment ago, that we had to migrate very fast classes in one of the universities that I work from face-to-face to online. And the problem was that we had 4 hours of class. So online, face-to-face, it's easy. We do a break in the middle. We do some activities. Not big deal. Online, 4 hours. No. So what we did was we had to maintain this because actually this is substitution of classes. So we had to do in this schedule. So we did in a flexible way. So basically, we started at the hour that was programmed. We started doing more breaks. So basically, we never went over 40 minutes with activities even included. So we have to do a lot more of activities. And also we do some breaks, some hygiene breaks, so people can go to the bathroom, can several things. They can get some fresh air, whatever. And also we didn't do the 4 hours. So we blended synchronous and asynchronous. So we had things that people had to see before coming to class, and after going to class, they would have some video content, some articles and things that they would have to work on it in order to come to the next class. And the next class, again, it was not 4 hours. The classes are lasting around 2.5 hours. This is an ongoing experiment, but it's working well like this. And some of the classes were like 4 hours after, let's say on Friday, after working hours, and Saturday the whole day. So it would be actually 12 hours, and we break it out in weeks. So people could have time to internalize some of the concepts and not be like boring the whole time. So I think it is very important that actually Fares is also giving here like every 45 minutes, give a break. I wouldn't go like, I would say that this is an average, because if you need a little bit more time to finish an activity, you do it. But this is like in classroom, you do the same. Sardik, do you have any brilliant idea from your side? Because your ideas are always brilliant.
You're too kind, man. I'll give this, and I saw Peter had, hey, Peter, I saw you had your hand up, so we're going to throw it back to you in a second. So I'm going to give you my classical training on this from where I learned this with the Association for Talent Development. Some of you know ATD, and I facilitate their online programs from time to time. And so I was trained in the way—
Sardik, so you are one of the stars. Don't be modest.
I don't know about that, but I enjoy it and I'm blessed, and thank you. But they taught me, and I went and did that because I traditionally in my business don't use a whole lot of virtual, at least I didn't. And but I also knew I needed to have these skill sets. So they have a very aggressive model. Here's what they do, Keith, to exactly what Filipe was saying. And they max it out at 2 hours. So the length of time, no matter what your instructional time is 2 hours for a session. Every 90 seconds, you should have some sort of interaction. Now, we don't have the time to go into what that looks like here in this particular setting. And so that's something that I'm thinking about. You know, I've got a program for that, but I'll give you some tips. Giving them the emoticons, the annotations, using those tools, polling, all the things you've seen us do here. You should have them responding to something every 90 seconds. So that's a big design issue. So for those of you who are going online for the first time, or this is new to you, if you're out there doing long-winded, lecture-based, low engaging type training, I can tell you right now, it is not working. It is absolutely not working. So keep it to 2 hours max, break it, like you said, into multiple sessions, have work in between those sessions. So you spread them out. And so if a 2-day class might go over a 6-week period. That's the shortest answer I can give you. And I saw Peter, you had your hands up. Go for it, my man.
Hey, how's it going, guys? First off, Keith's my kid brother, so.
That's all right.
We know attention is a limited resource for sure. You kind of touched it a little bit. If I'm looking at a 40 to 50 minute workshop that our team's using for our customers and then internally, do you have a particular cadence on presentation versus interaction? And I know you said 90 seconds here, so I don't know if that's the one. What I was thinking was like, I've tried to preliminarily tell our team like that, almost that TED Talk model of like, hey, let's not talk more than 12 to 15 minutes before we do questions, or breaking them up by our learning objectives or something like that, where it's like presentation QA up into that 50-minute mark. Or what recommendations do you have for a cadence inside that workshop?
Yeah, maybe I'll do a short little 10-minute video, because this is something that I probably can answer in a video and give an example of what this looks like, Peter. But the reality is that, and this takes where the design comes into play, and you have to really, and I see Nancy's head, and a lot of those folks who do this regularly, they'll nod on this, is you have to think about what is it we want them to be able to achieve, and then break that down into chunks, and literally, 8-minute to 10-minute chunks. So it should be a lot of interaction. You might kick off. So your cadence might be, literally is in the ATD. If you attend an ATD course, you would see this. They go, give me a green check if you agree with this. So they'll constantly ask questions to invoke a reaction of some kind, and using those annotation tools. They'll give some content, and then they'll come right back and start asking questions. So you should be engaging them as much as possible I would say at the least, every 3 minutes. But if you're going 15 minutes of blah, 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 this is what they're doing. And you see Nancy's head, this is what they're doing.
All right, gotcha.
Yeah.
We have one question from Lisa. For those that are finding hard to find the raise your hand button, you can. I suggest that you can just write on the chat hand, and I will see it, and I will give you the floor. But it will be for me easier because then I see the name and I can give you the sound. Lisa, tell us, what is your question?
Thank you. So I've been researching technology. So I've been on a lot of these calls about best practices, what camera, what microphone, what speaker, what lighting. And so now I'm totally confused, like, what do I really need? I don't foresee myself doing a ton of training. I do more change management, org assessments, training is needed. So I'm just trying to decide what I should invest in. So I've been to Best Buy and Amazon and all the different sites. So I didn't know in a nutshell if you could say, okay, if you're going to prioritize what tools, what technologies to enhance your virtual platform, is there any guidance?
Lisa, are we talking about equipment?
Yes.
Okay. Let me answer this, Sadiq.
Go for it.
In video, Lisa, the most important thing is the audio. Actually, Fares was putting here, saying that the voice is very important. Actually, we can understand this because for instance, how we hear radio, how we hear audiobooks and things like this, the voice is something that we have to work. We as trainers have to think that one of our biggest assets is the voice that we use, the way we use. If we talk fast, if we do the pauses, things like this. So I would prioritize microphone. A good microphone it's very important. The cameras, nowadays, I use this one that I said that is the Logitech C920 because I like it, but I could use the camera from my laptop, but not the microphone of my laptop because the sound would be bad. So
yeah, that was the one thing that's consistent. So for me, I personally hate the sound of a headset. I just don't hear it as well. So the microphone or the speaker. So I'm down to kind of a Yeti or the Jabra that Sharon's using.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. And then the camera, I'm trying to decide, camera, should I, shouldn't I? On my computer, I think it's okay, but I look at other people's and theirs is better. And the one thing I will share is that the Zoom, those backgrounds are horrible, because people are just floating on them. So I strongly recommend you don't use those. Maybe on your personal, family and friends, but it's just very distracting to watch those virtual backgrounds and you're zooming in and out in your head.
Especially if they are videos.
Body parts.
Yeah. It's you have to find a corner in your house or in your office that is okay. So this is my corner. That is a big corner. That is Sardik's corner, and everybody is having here a corner. That is, it's normal. So the virtual set is really, really fun when you are among friends. Or if you want to, let's say, give like some company a logo or something like that. Otherwise, I think that the more natural the communication, the better, because this is not supposed to be TV.
Thank you.
The microphone should be of high quality.
And again, I will put a plug in for Sardik because he did have a really great 10-minute video on Facebook that was very informative. So thanks again, Sardik, for posting that.
You're welcome. Thank you, Lisa, for that. And for those who are on Facebook, again, if you're not connected with me, feel free to do that, because what I'm doing right now, and if you're an entrepreneur, a freelance independent speaker, trainer like Filipe and I, Facebook and asking people questions on Facebook and saying, what are your needs right now is a great way to find out what your ideal target market wants. And so I had 2 people ask questions about my setup, and that wasn't the video or the picture I used for the post was completely different. And people saw the picture of my setup and they were like, hey, can I ask you questions about that? I talked to a few more people more about that. And next thing I know, I was like, you know what, let me just do a quick little video. And for those of you who are not familiar with, if you look at that video, you'll notice that I use a dual camera, 2 cameras shot where it's a television shot. And I know Filipe was going to talk about video editing tools. If you're into video editing, Camtasia is a good tool. But yeah, so thank you, Lisa, for that. But the microphone, totally agree. You should, if you're going to invest, that's the first place to start.
So they are available on Best Buy, having looked at all the different sites. So the, what do you got? You guys are using the Yeti?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, certain colors are available and certain colors are not. And then if you have a Best Buy near you, you can do curbside or you can do Amazon deliver.
By the way, Sardik, and to put that about tools, I use Camtasia Studio to do edition, but also even YouTube has edition tools. You can edit videos on YouTube that, for instance, if you put some video not listed and you wanted to give it to your students or your participants, you can do it some edition in YouTube. It's possible. But there is, you can use also Cam Studio, or you can do some tutorials with Zoom. For instance, imagine that you want to explain how some interface works and you want to navigate on this. So you do a Zoom with yourself and save it in your computer, and you can then distribute it anyway. And also you can do the same thing, for instance, for phone. There are several programs. iPhone comes with their own app, or in Android you can find apps that do recording of the screen. We have a question from Walid. So Walid, do you want to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, I think I wrote it, but I forget that I put a hand. So my question is, what do you think it's more comfortable to be standing or sitting? Because sometimes when we want to express our body language, maybe we can be standing. It's better to explain. So I put a chair here, but sometimes I'm sitting, sometimes I'm standing. So what do you think is better to the participants, so the participant can get the information easier?
Sardik, do you want to start?
My short answer is whatever works for you, as long as it doesn't distract from the learning experience. That's the short answer.
I would say, in this again is a personal thing, I would prefer sitting. And funny thing is that when I'm doing in a classroom, I'm always jumping around, really jumping around the classroom, and even in university. And why I say that I'm sitting, because I don't need to worry about the setting of how people are seeing me. And also I can have easily some notes. So many times if somebody is telling something, I will actually show that I have a pen, that what I'm taking is some notes. And this is an important thing to have. That's why I use this panoramic camera, because if I would use the camera from my laptop, that would be more or less like this. So, and this gives me the opportunity also with the microphone that I can go a little bit more back. And even sometimes if people are like giving some ideas and I want to pick there, this is completely natural. So it's not only the talking head. So this is something that I feel comfortable, and I have a nice chair and I'm relaxed, and I can stand a little bit more from the tiredness that creates the online, that it's different in that. Nancy is suggesting a standing desk. It depends. If you get like a bit of back pains at the end, so or you can use also those Pilates balls that you are doing balance. Pamela, Sardik, you want to say something?
I was just going to throw in another quick little tool, just another technology-based tool that I came across a while back, and I'll share it with you all because it's really cool for if you're doing PowerPoint presentations, you want to add in some fonts. Let's say you've got a font that you've seen from a brand that you like, and you wonder if you could figure out what font they had. Well, the website that you can use to go find that font potentially is called, and I wrote it down, it's fontmeme.com. I'll put it in the chat, fontmeme.com. And now what they won't allow you to do is they won't allow you to use fonts that are copyright protected. But what they give you a wide variety of fonts that you can go, and everything is out there. It's really cool. So if you want some really creative stuff, you can test it out. You can look for, let's say, scripted type fonts and things like that for your PowerPoint presentations or your landing pages. And if you just want to get creative, that's a tool that I have found to be very, very useful. So I threw it in the chat for you.
Okay. By the way, Sharon is talking here about poll everywhere for participant engagement. I don't know this one. I'm putting another one about polls that is very interesting. Actually, we used it in the previous webinar, that is Metimeter, that creates a PowerPoint with the poll directly, and you can use it also online, like we did in last webinar. And by the way, one thing that I forgot about editing videos that I don't remember, but it was connected with what you were saying, Sardik. But let's go for Pamela, and I will remember. Pamela.
Everyone, this is fantastic. Sardik and Filipe, thank you so much for hosting this program. As an experienced designer, I guess the challenge with the modularized approach is the continuity of the learning experience when participants miss sessions or they're not doing their pre-work or post-work assignments in between. think that's one of the challenges. A couple of folks have messaged in the chat some suggestions around recording it, following up, or connecting with the producer for chat notes. So I'm looking for other suggestions for that learning continuity so participants don't fall behind. And then, I've actually seen the use of Microsoft Teams and Slack channel to sort of create that thread for people. But, I'm also open to any suggestions from you all on continuity for participants who miss sessions. That's the question.
Filipe, you want to go first?
Yeah.
Oh, you wanted to go first?
Okay.
So this again, Pamela, thank you for your feedback and thanks for being here. The short answer is, again, it comes back to your design. So where you already know that. And the other thing that we have to do in that design process is create those accountabilities and put the consequences in there as well. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. And I know it's hard. Don't get me wrong. None of this is easy, right? Especially right now when you got people with distractions and everything going on at home. But there has to be some amount of accountability and consequences. So try to the extent possible to build out a learning roadmap and a learning experience over time. And then if they have just say they can miss, and I know ATD does this, they will not give you their certificate of completion if you miss more than 2 hours of instruction. So there has to be some sort of accountability, and that usually keeps people on task. And they have to demonstrate that they've gone and looked and watched the video or the recorded session if they don't. If you don't have that, then it's obviously kind of wild, wild west. So that's my short answer on that.
Yeah. So are you so you're tracking attendance, obviously, and
Yes.
You're tracking they've made their deliverables and that there has to be some tangible output that shows that they've done whatever the task is.
Absolutely. And the producer does all of that. That's why I have a producer, is they take care of tracking all of that stuff and they send it on. And then all I have to do is deal with the people who are the outliers who haven't done what they should be doing. And then it's not that they're doing things badly or they're bad people. Life gets in the way. And so it's a support mechanism.
Yeah, exactly. And I wouldn't think of the producer role as anything beyond the actual live session. So it's interesting that they've got actually what is a logistics coordination, program management type of a role beyond the actual session chat monitoring and technical support. So that's really a fascinating idea.
Now, it depends on the level of engagement that you hire them to do as well. Right. So that's, so you got to take into account that's going to be a higher price, but I can tell you it's worth it.
Well, I also think, if you're working inside a client company, then they may assign someone from the training department. If you're a consultant doing, a program series, if you will, then they may be able to provide the resource for you if you don't purchase the service on a contract basis, which to me is ideal because there's a logic to that accountability that should be basically like in-house tracking and administration. So but they don't always have the head count. I think that's the thing. Organizations and training departments run pretty slim these days.
True.
Well, that's superb. Any other suggestions? I know we're past time. I see we're a couple minutes over. So
we are. I didn't even notice.
we are a bit over. I have to do the producer thing. We try always to keep this into 1 hour. I remember what I forgot, the suggestion. PowerPoint 365 does, you can do a video with the PowerPoint, with your face and everything. It's cool, it works very, very well. Guys, thank you very much for coming to this session, for your participation. And it was your questions that made it great. And Sardik and I probably, for sure, we will do more and keep.
And Filipe, why don't we answer real quick? If you want us to do more sessions, give us a thumbs up on camera. Okay, I guess we got our marching orders. Okay.
So we will do it because you said so. So guys, also feel free to connect with us in LinkedIn. We have very distinctive names, so we are very easy to find across Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. It is very easy to find us. So keep
FBI finds us as well, so they can find us.
This conversation going and have fun. And thank you very much for everything. Bye bye.
Thanks everybody. Cheers.
Great.